Hello everybody, Isabella from Prior Attire here, and after a sort of few months hiatus we finally have some new stuff to shoot for my next book, The Victorian Dressmaker 3, that deals with evening visiting, afternoon ball gowns, which is going to be out next year. We are back to St Audries Park, our beautiful wedding venue. We are really lucky that we can film here and shoot here, and that we have moved to be about half an hour away drive from here. Today, as you can see, I'm already in a sort of 1860s superwoman mode with a little undergarments that actually are quite cool as it is. So let's start with our little American Duchess boots. I'm going to be walking outside, so proper boots. Stockings with a garter. I have forgotten the other garter, so I'm going to be without, but these split drawers are absolutely very good at keeping the stocking in place, so I'm not too worried. And we have linen chemise and linen drawers. The usual controversy whether the chemise goes out or goes in always raises its head at this time, so let me just say very briefly, it's up to you. This looks cooler, I suppose, if you don't see anything, but also much more difficult to go to the toilet if you are wearing the full dress over the top, because you need to sort of shift around and find openings and then get the chemise outside, whereas if the chemise is outside, it's much easier. So outside is my preference, but you do whatever you prefer. So that's our beginning. And let us get on to the next layer, which is a corset. This is similar to what you've seen in our other presentations for the late 60s, and this is a late 60s dress. A good example of, it's a bit too tight, it's quite laced up. A good example of a transitioning gown where bustle was just becoming fashionable, but you still have crinolines. So elliptical crinoline with a bit of a back emphasis. And it's quite a curious and old era when you have quite a lot of styles. You have Etruscan revival, you have quite a lot of very interesting sub-styles depending on whichever culture you come from. And this gown, I think, shows quite a lot of that, so I'm quite looking forward to it. Excuse me. The corset is based on the red threaded 1860s pattern. I have adapted it to suit me a little bit better, but the patterns are brilliant, so if you haven't got one, get one, because they are really easy to make and again easy to adapt, and they fit nicely. As you can see, my little chemise is sticking out here. I don't want to flash you too much. So this one is made in black couture with a little orange flossing and a cream lace. So it looks a bit like sort of autumn style, pumpkin style, so that goes with the gown as well. This might be a little bit too big for me. I just laced it completely shut. But it's a really comfortable model. What I've changed from the original pattern is slightly shorter bust, possibly still a little bit too long for me, and more spring for the hip, because I'm quite squishy, so I could squish a little bit more and get a little bit more oomph here, but it's not needed at the moment. So we have the corset, we have the boots. Something that is quite often omitted, but did exist, is a little modesty petticoat. This is just so that if you fall over and your crinoline, you never know, the crinoline cage might flip over. You will see a little bit too much of your drawered and stockinged leg, God forbid. So you just have usually quite a plain little petticoat. If I can put it together to wear. This is an antique one, but it will do quite nicely. Possibly a bit too long to be a modesty one, but will work. Cage is the next one, and you have seen this cage before. Elliptical model. I've had it for several years and it's worked really well for me. Okay, upside down. With some random threads. Sadly, it started poking out, the wire started poking out, so at the moment mend it with some masking tape. Because tape. But that's our little cage. And as you can see, you already have the emphasis on the back, on the skirts are swaying much further back than before. So I have that little pad here. I always think of it as a sort of web with a little fat spider sitting in the middle of it, because it just looks like that, especially when it lays down flat. But again, it's a very comfortable cage to sit. So that's where you have modesty petticoat for, you see, just in case you didn't sit suitably, elegantly. That's our cage and petticoats. Let me have a look which ones we have here. I have, as usual, I think, an older petticoat, which is equal all around. So that's the one I will be wearing in my usual cage. But obviously fashions changed. But you still have a petticoat, so you use it, because why not? So let's put that on first. Let's make sure it's buttoned up. I can find the button. So this is too short at the back, but that doesn't mean we cannot wear it, because we have a proper petticoat that we just made for that style that goes on top of that. Let me find the beginning and the end. Let me have a look. Again, help would be nice, but my maid is still out somewhere in Gretna. I hope already married, or maybe just living her dreams. So, any applicants for maids, please send it over. We can't pay much, but think of all the glamour. Okay. I think that now is more or less up. Just button it. Again, very tricky. Without a servant. Good shoulder mobility. I know the cameraman is just wriggling his fingers at me, hoping for a chance of fiddling with undergarments behind my back. Not today. Today is not the day. Next layer. It's quite warm, to be honest, but still, and seasonably warm for October. A little chemisette that hopefully will conceal the edges of the corset and absorb any sweat that my chemise cannot absorb. And this one goes and ties on both sides. So you see all those layers, but it's all breathable fabrics. It's all cottons and linens. You would wash them very regularly and quite easily. They're easy to iron, especially cottons. But they breathe, and with cages you actually have quite a lot of movement underneath, so it's not really that warm. Having said that, if it's very cold, you put, instead of your modesty petticoat, you put a quilted one and nice flannel drawers for proper winter. Fine, the dress is a little bit different than usual. At that time, you have most of the dresses being two parts. You will have a skirt, you would have a bodice, very often have additional belt or peplum. And you start getting overskirts at that one, especially on evening gowns. This one is a attempted replica of an extant gown, in very similar colouring. I've been hoarding that fabric for I think 5 years because I just knew what I wanted to make out of it, and it's a very autumnal dress, so perfect. It's like oak leaves and it's all lined in cotton, glazed cotton, and hem is additionally reinforced with black tarlatan and a bit of organdy. It's a bit of a Frankenstein cotton to be facing. I just wanted to use as much of leftovers as I could without purchasing a new one. But that is obviously something that women will be doing back then as well. You use what you have, you don't waste your resources. And the interfacing, not interfacing, the facing, it's not only a little bit stiffer, so it keeps the shape, it's more robust, so it secures the gown if it strains on the ground and it's a trained gown. But also you can exchange it very easily. With the moment it becomes dirty and tattered, you just make another one. So you don't really use a lot of expensive fabrics for that. Although I probably would add a little braid here on the hem, mostly because at that time, I think 1887, I saw a first mention of a braid being used underneath the hem for reinforcement and for keeping it safe from the ground. So beginning of the balayeurs, I suppose. But this gown is also 2-in-1. So the bodice part and the skirt are connected. This was quite common for middle class because it was much easier to get into it and just keep it on. But it started to appear quite a lot for better gowns as well. You can see several nicer gowns, extended gowns with a front opening. So yes, you cannot make it into a transitional gown, a transformation gown with a day bodice and evening bodice. But if you just have enough fabric for one, it doesn't really matter too much. So it's very, very plain. As you can see, all sort of lined with lots of buttons. Let me put it on. And it opens in the front with a placket. I'm going to put my sleeves first. Okay. Am I here somewhere? I'm here. Good. Okay. So this is our placket, closing with a little bit of a dog leg. So you see all your buttons are going with the point, and then the placket closes over that. So I'm going to play that. It has a pocket hidden here. So it's a nice handy pocket. And it's pleated with box pleats and then gathered or cut at the back. So that basic, let me see if I can try bottoming it up. It has hooks and eyes to close the waistband. Okay. And the rest is just a lot of buttons. Now this very simple style of gown allowed for decoration. So as you can see here, I'm going to talk while I'm doing, you have cuffs with a lot of binding, contrasting binding, and a little sort of epaulettes at the sides. And these ones are just tacked on. They can be very easily removed if you want to put, for example, a little cape or fringes. The same with decorative belts and peplums, you can change them as you wish. So plain gown meant you can adapt it and transform it at different colours depending on the occasion. So these ones you can really easily just take off. I probably will do another photo shoot we're in Buxton in winter with different options, because I've got a really nice sort of fringe that would be amazing for a little sort of decoration here. So the buttons are antique, see if I can see very well. They are little mounts, cardboard mounts, just covered in a death's head way by threads. Okay, almost there. As you can see, the gown is slightly trained. I see the front petticoat is slightly too long, so I'm going to adjust that in a second. Right, so I'll do the petticoat in a second. Okay. On top of that, the original has this. It is a nice decorative belt, also bound, also with some decorative plating. It's also stiffened with some boning so that the top part doesn't flop over, which it did when I first started. And it just closes with hooks and eyes, which are hopefully in the right position. Almost. Well, hey. There are two streamers somewhere behind, somewhere. There you go. So that's our gown. One more thing you might want to add, don't need to, but might want to, is a little lace collar. And again, these ones would be just, could you move it up slightly? So I don't have to scoop. I've got some pins ready here. And I cannot see. Okay, that's better. That's fine. So this one, you will just pin in place or just stack very, very lightly. I cannot really see very well, so I'm probably not making the best, hold on, the best job out of it. Let me adjust it. That's much better. Again, you don't really stitch it very robustly. Pinning is the best and was used quite a lot, mostly because you will be washing it much more often than the gown. Okay. Oh, I still made a cat's ass out of it. Can't get servants anymore. Oh, I'll do it in a second. I know I have a big mirror here, I know. Oh well, looks better. For the hair, as you can see, at the moment I just have put into one machine. As for sitting around the house, I'll just put my little net on, which I'm going to do in a second. This one is beautifully, I think, crochet by Sally Pointer. It has a little nice tassels. We've seen it before, I think. 2 tassels, sorry, even better. And it really works very well with this ensemble. Release the tassels. Where are the tassels? Tassel. Tassel, I want tassels to show. So that will be just suitable for basically sitting at home and expecting guests or having a nice dinner, so you don't wear a full cap or a full hat for going out. For going out, I will put a different hat on. But that, I think, is what you see. Interesting bit, I do have one original antique belt for exactly the same style of gown, which is from Monsieur Boulevard, and it comprises a nice, it's a proper sash ribbon with beautiful hooks. Unfortunately, sorry, beautiful eyes, but no more hooks, but it would just hoop around just like mine does, and just has nice streamers behind. So things like that, very hastily made, but still robust actually after more than 100 years, would be an amazing way to transform your gown quickly, inexpensively, because you would not have a lot of gowns. You would have maybe 1 or 2 better gowns like this one, and it's just up to you to change it around, unless you are very wealthy. But even then, you do change how you style your gowns instead of getting another sweatshirt from Danube or Shane, I suppose. Right, I'm going to go out. It's beautiful weather and it's amazing foliage here, so I'm going to see if we can get a couple of nice shots outside. So I'll see you there. Thank you for watching. Isn't that amazing? I need my parasol. The sun is quite dry. Just stunning. Beautiful sun.